Hey guys, Drift0r here. Today I'm bringing you some throwing knife and stabbing knife only gameplay. All blades, no guns, no bombs, no nothing else. I also have an army of subscribers in here, a bunch of Team Drift members, and some randoms that we met up with decided to join in our knife only massacre. Today we're going to be talking about the advantages of using throwing knives and knives only, and some tactics. And because I'm not necessarily the greatest expert in this, I decided I would bring in one of the greater experts, if not the greatest. Say hello to Vikkstar123.
Oh, well, huge introduction there. It's me, Vikkstar123, and hopefully I can give some useful insight. But you seem to be quite skilled when it comes to in-depth things and, pulling out all the statistics, so I'm interested to hear your side of things.
This is a more subjective thing. I mean, a lot of people say do in-depth on the knife. Well, that's a range and a speed. Or do in-depth on a throwing knife. I'm like, well, you chunk it, it hits people, and it kills them in one hit. That's the extent of the depth. Like, okay, it'll do 400 damage, so what? Unless it's a juggernaut, it doesn't make any difference. There's a lot of subjectivity to this. Like, what are some of your favorite tactics for using throwing knives and or tomahawks in Black Ops? Because I know that's, well, kind of your thing.
Yeah, so like you say, with the weapons, with the throwing knife, the tomahawk, and the knife, they're all kind of, it's quite a simplistic weapon, which, again, is something I really like about it. But as far as using the weapons concerned, so long as you can aim with them, or be looking in the right direction with the knife, then you're going to pick up kills. The part where all of the skill comes in, and a fair bit of the luck, is just in the movement, the way you go about, and for me, it's always flanking. What about you?
I more or less agree. I'm kind of growing aggressive here. I have that little YouTube commentator monkey. It's like, knife them in the face, beat their gun reaction time, but to actually get good gameplays or feeds or anything with tomahawks and knives, it's really all about flanking, hitting them when they're not looking, stabbing them in the butt from the side, something like that. Also, a lot of stun grenades, flashbangs. I'm pretty big fan of those.
Yeah, and I just noticed in the gameplay there, you used the undercarriage of the plane just for cover, so you could get up close to your target. He's sat there looking at you down a scope, he's like swaying around it, and then before he knows it, you've run past, some cover, and you're up at him, and it looks like you're going to do it again. So that's, another, you don't have to always flank. Sometimes you can be going directly towards them, but just use what you've got around you. Again, like you said, it's very subjective.
Yeah, so well, sometimes because Call of Duty has this wonderful coding where the bullets come out of the top of your head, that can be a little bit difficult, but doing, oh, I guess I screwed up on A flag here, just running around some cover, some cars, just something that makes you a little bit harder than average to shoot really helps. There's also one critical component, and this is one thing where I think you really outclass me, and especially because you do this all the time, is reaction time. If you're going to run a class like this, even though you can plan with flanks and stuns, you have to be able to react and adapt very, very quickly and just kind of go for it. You're not always going to hit, but sometimes you got to take those long shots and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, a thing with long shots is when it comes to throwing knives and tomahawks, I will really, very rarely go for something like that. I'd be, more happy to turn my back on an opponent and run away, just because there's that uncertainty, and then you've kind of lost one of your assets, one of your weapons, if you go for the throw. So usually, I'll stun an opponent like you see yourself do a couple of times, and get as physically close as I can before I even risk using my knife or throwing knife or tomahawk.
That honestly makes sense. I got a question. What's your favorite tactic? Because I've seen Only Use Me Blades classes. I've seen yours and Straight Up Knives and a few of my own. Also Tomahawk Tricks. He's pretty good. You see some people, when they do this sort of stabby action, they'll either go for complete stealth, like Ghost or Ninja or whatever the stealth perk is. And then some people go for speed, lightweight, marathon, just all reaction time. Which one really floats your boat more?
For me, it's definitely more speed. Where stealth is concerned, I'm never too bothered. I mean, if I was doing it on Search and Destroy, I might, put on the stealth classes, but just for regular game modes, deathmatch type games, I will just, go for the speed every time, and I'm just an impatient person, really, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really like going with speed, but then again, usually when I decide to go knife only, I'm not like in a lobby by myself. As you can see here, I have a bunch of subscribers and we're running support streaks. If I were to just do it completely by myself, which I'm actually doing right now because I'm doing an in-depth on the knife, I run Ghost and stuff because I can't depend on the randoms to block radar, do call-outs, or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair enough. And one thing I was going to say is that... oh my, I've just forgotten what I was going to say. Hold
Oh,
on.
it doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next topic. We talked about a lot of tactics to do with these weapons. My question is, do you think there are any advantages to using a class like this, be they throwing knives, or in a couple weeks when Black Ops 2 comes out, it'll go back to tomahawks? Don't they also have knives? They have tomahawks and knives. I can't remember. There's so much weird information.
You basically just have a standard knife, which is a bit like a ballistic knife, but it doesn't actually fire the ballistic knife. And then they've got the combat axes, but there aren't actually any throwing knives, as it were. But, wait, what was your question again?
The question is, what are your favorite? Oh, sorry, my bad. What are the advantages? Like, what's the benefit of running a class like this? I understand that there's a challenge to it, but is there any kind of advantage, or any advantage to having a throwing projectile on your classes at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. One thing that I'll find is just really useful is, you'll find this more towards the start of most matches you play. It's just purely the uncertainty factor, and you throw your enemies off. They're not expecting you to come charging in with a knife. If you drop behind cover, they might be waiting for you to pop back up and try and shoot them. And then when you come charging around the side with a knife, you're at them before they even realise what's going on, and you can just really, play to that and use it to give you a real edge. Just that speed and unexpectedness can often, put you in a better position to get kills than you would be
You're
without.
playing a meta game here. You're playing against player psychology. They're expecting guns. You're giving them knives. Do you ever find that as the match goes on, players play generally bad players get worse when you run knife only because you've got them flustered. They're tired of getting throwing knifed and stuck and blown up and things like that when you knife a barrel maybe. But good players have a tendency to adapt, and they move over to shotguns and motion detectors and claymores and things like that.
Oh, exactly. This is, the problem that I've always had with my team throwing knife only gameplays, is we'll get off to a great start. Just a good example is the map Hard Hat. We'll all come flooding into the middle of that map, from the tunnel, the pipe, from every entrance, to start throwing concussion grenades all over the place and usually clean up the entire enemy team. And, that'll be great, but as soon as that happens, if they're skilled players, they'll think, well, that just happened, right, what are we going to do? SMGs come out, shotguns come out, you haven't got people, using assault rifles anymore, and it becomes so much more challenging, and you really have to kind of play to that.
That's exactly what happened here, because we're playing some of the same people from the last match in this one. Some of them moved to SMGs. I think they only had one shotgun guy, but they moved over to a lot of support streaks, a lot of call-outs, and they weren't really afraid of being shot or anymore, so they got a lot more brazen, and they just kind of came out and went for us. One of the other advantages that I found when I run classes like this, because I do a lot of goofy stuff on my channel, I know this is like your specialty, but I dabble in this, is that I found that the simplicity of action is really nice. I only have 2 attacks, and both of them are very straightforward, very fast, not a lot of complication to them. I found kind of the same thing when I run Akimbo Scorpions. There's no aiming down sight, there's no real need to slow down or worry about accuracy or any of those things. It just felt like it made it easier to mentally process.
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, that was a huge low with the FMG9 Akimbos at the start of this game when they were powerful. There's just less involved in it. And another thing is just knife and throwing knife. I think you mentioned this earlier. They're lethal. So, you've got a simple weapon. You don't need to think about aiming, judging distances, where an enemy's going to disappear to. It's just, get up close to them, look in their direction, and hit that knife button or throw that knife. There's a bit more to the knifing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's aiming, but if you're in that, kind of optimal range, then it's not as complicated as worrying about like a sniper shot or an MK14 or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I have another question for you. What do you feel about the freedom of movement? Because this was a huge thing for me running knife in MW3, and especially even more in Black Ops when I would run tomahawks or scorpions or something. Everybody else, they move in a kind of predictable manner. They have to post up and aim down sights, which before Stalker would slow them down, and they have to sidestep left and right. But with these kind of classes, you can just move all over the place and attack from any direction. Oh God, we're out of time. No!
Well, I was just going to say I would agree with you on those points. Other people get tied down, whereas you're not.
Alright guys, well we are out of gameplay today, out of time. I'd like to thank Vikkstar for coming by to offer his expert opinion, and if you would like to see some knife tomahawk madness, I put a link on the screen right now. You can click that, it'll open his channel in a new window, or if you're on mobile, it's down there hiding in the description somewhere.
Alright, it's been nice speaking with you, and good to get your insight.